Hi everyone. Right, in today's session we will be looking at something called a variable. A variable is something that you can control, okay? So for example, if we would have score or we might have time as a variable where we are going to change that score or change that time, okay? The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to start looking at developing our sprites, going into the library and choosing our background. So I'm just going to pop into my library here. What I'm going to do for this one, you can have a go at this project, but the idea is that you would actually develop your own type of activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an underwater activity with a shark, and the shark is going to go fishing, he's going to go fishing for lots of different types of fish. So I'm going to have a look for, let's have a look, quick idea, there we are. So I've got a fish here, I might have some other ones. I'll choose that one for now, but as you can see, did you see that it changed? There's lots of different costumes, so I might choose this one, I might choose a different one in a moment. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my right here and I'm going to go and choose an underwater background. So underwater, I'm going to pick that one, okay? Now if you remember, if you ever have a scratch character that you need, or a sprite should I say, that you want to get rid of, just come down to this bottom corner here, have a look at the sprites that you have, click on the one you don't want and you can get rid of it. So let's have a look at what we're going to do to start programming these sprites to do what we want them to do. I want you to think about what actions you want them to perform. What is the shark likely to do? What is the fish likely to do? Okay. So there's lots of things in this project that we need to plan out and think carefully about, and we do it a step at a time. So we concentrate, it's called decomposition, breaking down this problem of getting this shark to go and get the fish and eat them. We want him to move first. We're going to concentrate on his movement, okay? Now, when we've got the shark, he's going to move left and right, and he's also going to move up and down, okay? So what we're going to do is talk about how we accomplish this. I want to do this by being able to control him with arrows, okay? So when I press the right arrow, he goes right, and when I press the left arrow, he goes left, okay? So if you follow me across over here, over to the events button, you can see we would normally use one of these, and we have used this before, but what we're going to do is use this in a slightly different way. So if I click on this down arrow here, it gives me lots of options. Okay, I'm going to click on the right arrow. This is the right arrow on your keyboard. Okay, so if you look over to the right hand side of your keyboard, you'll spot a right arrow. Okay, and we can control him. Now, when we press that right arrow, we want him to move right. And this is known as the x-axis, right and left, okay? So when you're in maths, you do things like you use axes to draw graphs and things like that, bar charts and such like, but what on coordinates as well. So we want him to move right, okay? So I'm going to go up to my movement, but we're not going to use this one here because we want to control the direction he's moving in. So I'm going to come down, and if you follow me all the way to the bottom, there's a button that says change X by. So I'm going to pull that up and click it on. So when I press my right key, he will change along the x-axis, he'll change along this axis by 10. So if I press the right key now, you can spot he moves right, but when I press left, he doesn't go anywhere. So we're going to program him to go left. So we're going to go back to our events, pull in when we press this key, we're going to choose the left-hand key. Now, we're going to get him to move again, but this time we've got to think of the opposite. What is the opposite of adding 10? So when I add 10, I jump this way. What's the opposite of adding 10? Have a think. What would you say if you were in a maths lesson? Yeah, that's right. It's take away 10. So on your keyboard, it will normally be down at the top along where the numbers are. You'll find a take away sign. So I'm just going to click in here, just on top of my numbers, and I'm going to say take away 10. So now when I press my right key, hopefully he will go right. When I press my left key, he will go left. So let's press right. Now I'm going to press left. Oh, what have you spotted? He's going left, but he is going backwards. So we're going to do another little bit of programming here. Okay. Now in the same menu here, this motion menu, I'm going to go down and I want him to point in the right direction. Okay, so I'm going to pull this on, point in direction, and I'm going to click it in here. And I'm just going to click on this 90, and if you spotted, there's an arrow and it's saying look that way, look 90 degrees. Look at what happens if it's going to point, take away 90. So I'm going to add 90 to go right. I'm going to go back and get another one, point in the direction of. And this one I'm going to say, well, take it away. Take away 90. So I'm going to try it out. When I press right, he goes right. When I press left, he's now upside down. So let's have a look at what we do for this. So what we're doing in this program is we are learning how to debug. We've got him moving in the right direction, but I've got an issue that when he moves left, he's actually upside down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about debugging. What's the problem? The costume is wrong. When he's going one way, when he's going left, he's looking upside down. So I'm going to go and visit my costumes. Okay, now I've got this costume here. I'm going to, if you're on an iPad or a tablet, you'll be able to hold it down. But if you're on a laptop or a computer, you do a right click on your mouse, okay? If you right click, you'll find this button, or if you hold down on your iPad or tablet, you can duplicate. Now, I've got a second picture of a shark. He looks exactly the same, but I want him to look the other way. I want him to look to the left. So I'm going to come over to my buttons over here, and it says flip horizontally. I'm going to click on it and see what happens. Excellent. So now he looks in the right direction. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my code now. I'm going to remember shark A looks right, shark A2 looks left. Okay, so I'm going to pop back up to my code. Now I want him to look different because he doesn't look correct. So I'm going to go to my looks button and I'm going to come down and I'm going to be very specific about the costume I want him to have. So I'm going to pull this up, pop it on. I'm going to put it up again and put it on the code, the sequence below. Now I remember shark A looked right. Can you remember which shark it was that looked left? Was it C? Was it? Ah, that was right. It was A2. Okay. So let me try now. I'm going to go right. I'm going to go left. I'm going to go right. I'm going to go left. Now there's something not working. I want you to debug. Which bit of the program here in the sequence do I need to get rid of for it to work? Have a think. That's right, we need to get rid of this point in that direction because we've actually changed this costume. So I'm going to just pull this one off and pull it over here. And I'm going to try the code. There he is. Okay, he's looking in the right direction because we've changed this costume. So if ever you find that when you point them in the direction, they actually flip over, you can go and change their costume and have them looking the right way. Okay, now I'm just going to check the costumes again. I think later on what I might do is have something that he might change when he has to capture a creature, okay, a fish. So that's where I'm going to go next. We've got him moving. Oh, but we haven't got him moving up and down, have we? I want you to think now very quickly about moving up and down. It's going to be similar code, but there's one thing that we're going to have to change, okay? What could that be? That's right. If he's moving right and left, he's moving along the x-axis. If he's going up and down, he is moving along the y-axis. So I'm going to go across, I'm going to copy this code exactly as it is. When I go up, this bit is the bit that I'm going to change. So always look at previous code you've written and I'm going to go down and see, well, there's change x by, I need to change y by. If I go up, I'm adding. So if I'm going down, I'm taking away. So change it by 10. And I'm going to just go back and grab that last bit and just see once I've done this, if there's anything I want to change, okay? And I'm going to say motion, go down, change Y by, and I know because I'm going down, it's going to be a takeaway 10. Right, let's try that. So I'm going to do right and left, up and down, okay? And I'm going to say that probably the left and right, I'm going to control which way he's looking so that if he's going up, he might go right, but if he's going left, he's going down. So I'm happy with that bit. Right, so now it's time to focus on this fish. Okay, we've got control of him, but we're going to control this fish. So the fish is going to have a bit of a random way of moving. Okay, so I always want the fish to be moving around and gliding around the screen in lots of different places. I don't want to be able to predict where this fish is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to go and get an events button, and I'm going to say that from the beginning of the game, just make it a bit bigger. From the beginning of the game, I want this fish to just be moving around, okay? It's going to do it forever and ever and ever until I ask it to stop. So that tells us straight away that we need one of these bricks, okay? Which brick do you think I need? That's right, yeah, the forever loop. The forever loop is going to, if I put any programmable bricks in here, any sequences, algorithms, it's going to run forever and ever and ever, okay? So I'm going to go and look at my motion. Again, I want this fish to look like it's swimming. It might not be completely perfect at the minute, but we can go back and look at that later. Okay, so I've got go to random position, so I'm going to just try that. Now that fish is moving very, very quickly. So I'm going to just stop. I'm going to pull that out. That has worked, but I need to do a little bit of debugging. I've also spotted this other one here. Glide 1 second to random position. So that's looking a little bit more like I want it to. Now, if you want that fish to travel a bit slower, you might change it to 1.5 seconds. That's what that 0.5 is, half a second, okay? If you want it slower and slower, you can keep adding that time on. So now I've got this fish moving around, okay? So I'm going to show you the next part of this, which is the most fun part. But what I want you to imagine in this next part, that we are going to send a message from the shark to the fish. So it's almost like sending a text message. The shark is going to send the message, the fish will receive it, and then will act upon it. So it's like me sending a text message to you, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this shark, okay? When the shark touches the fish, he's going to send him a message, okay? And that message is going to be disappear, okay? Because I've eaten you, and he'll disappear, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our events button, and we're going to pull in this flag. I'm just going to pull it down here. You can move the bar down if you want to. I'll do it down here just so you can see it, and it's all clear. I'll let you just organize your screen there while I'm talking. Now, we're going to go to a forever loop because I always want this to happen. Whenever a shark touches that fish, I want the fish to disappear. Okay, so we're going to bring in that forever loop. Now, this is where we're going to have what we call a condition. Okay, if I do this, then this is going to happen. Okay, and this is the little bit of code that you need here. Okay, this little brick here, and we're going to just, if you watch how I do it, I just plonk it inside, come over and it'll open its mouth and I'll just drop it inside. So when I read this, from the beginning of the game, forever, this is always going to happen. If, then. If the shark touches the fish, then he disappears. That's how it's going to read, okay, when we look at this little section here. If the shark touches the fish, then he's going to disappear. So we just need to fill in these little gaps here. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to do the sensing button because I really need to make sure that the shark knows, okay. So I'm going to pop up to the top here and I'm going to use this touching button. I'm just going to plonk it in. If the shark, because I'm on the shark, if the shark touches who? The fish. If the shark touches the fish, then what he's going to do, he's going to send him a message, disappear. Now this is the really clever part. I love this part. So we're just going to go over to our control button, sorry, up to events. And as you look down, just at this bottom bit here, can you see it says broadcast a message? Just here. So I'm going to pull this in, and I'm going to change this message to new message, hide. Actually, shall I? Yeah, I'll put hide. So read it through again. When the game is started, a message is going to be sent forever. If the shark is touching the fish, then he's going to say hide. Okay. Now, who's going to receive this message? Well, it's going to be the fish, isn't it? So I'm going to jump back over down here to the fish, and I'm going to say, when I receive the message hide, I'm going to hide. Okay, but we haven't got that little brick here. When I receive the message hide, I will hide. So I'm going to go over to my looks button. I'm going to move down a little bit, and there it is, just there. So let's just double check what we've got. When the shark says, when he touches the fish, he's going to send the message hide. The fish, when he receives that message hide, he is going to hide. I'm just going to click this show button. Did you notice how I've just got the show button here and I've just clicked on it? If ever I want the fish just to come back, I can click on that show button. So I'm now going to, oh, did you see? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bring in that show button. Now I'm going to get the shark to go across. Oh, he's just eaten him. Okay. So we've got that part of the program sorted. Now my question is, we need a button to make this fish show back up at the beginning of the game. Okay, so I want you to be thinking about this. When the game is playing, this show button, we can pop it in here. So at the beginning of a game, the fish, I'll just move him down here, the fish will always appear until he eats him. Okay. So now what we can think of is when we are programming this type of game, we might have more than one fish. I'm just going to go onto the fish and I'm just going to, there he is, show up. So the fish is about, he's moving around. I know that it's not going to play until I've got this shark moving. But what I can do is to add more fish on. I can right click or hold down with my key, duplicate, and I'll have an extra fish. Okay, I can duplicate again. And the reason I've done all the programming first and then duplicated after is because that code will be on each of the different fish. So I can have lots of fish roaming around. There they are. Okay. Moving around the screen for me to go and capture. Okay. I might have lots and lots and lots of fish. It's totally up to me how many fish I have. Now, we spoke before about a variable. Now, my variable for this session is going to be a score, so that if I eat a fish, I get a score, maybe 10 points for a fish. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my variables, and you can just see that it's right at the bottom here. And it asks me to make a variable because it's asking me, what do I want to control? Well, I want to control the score. I want to get a better score every time I get a fish. So I'm going to make a variable, and I'm going to call it score. And when you click OK, it appears in your list here. Okay, so I'll need to think about where this is going to appear in my program. Okay, and if you notice just at the top here, you've got that score button. So thinking about where it goes in my program, I need to make sure that when the game starts, my score's always on 0. Whenever it's a fresh game, the score would always be at 0. So I'm just going to show you over here, and we're going to look through these little bits here. And it says set my variable to 0. Well, I know I can set my score. So this is one that I do want. And I'm going to put that in at the beginning. Whenever the game starts, the score will always go back to 0, whatever my previous score's been. But when the shark touches the fish, that's when the score is going to increase. Okay, so this is where we look at change my score. So I'm just going to go into here and press score. And I always do it there before I take it over, because if I take it over and I haven't changed it, then it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in here. But whereabouts does it need to go? I've set my score. When I'm touching the fish, broadcast hide, and change my score by. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to say every time I touch a fish, I'm going to get 10 points. Okay, so I'm going to just check on my fish, make sure that they're ready to, they're going to show up. Yes, they are. There they are. Right, let's go. Oh, let's see if it's, oh, I've eaten a fish and I've got 10 points. Okay, now we need to do a bit of debugging. So you might have spotted that the score changed to just 10 and I caught 3 fish, so that seems a little bit unfair. So I want to have a think about this because the fish did get touched, but the shark was touching just one fish. So this score and this variable, we need to actually place it with the fish, each separate fish. So I'm going to just take this off here. And remember, you can take these apart, put them back together. And when you're programming, it's good to make mistakes because you understand why and where you've made the mistake. So those scores are fine, but I'm going to say it needs to be on this one here, okay? So when we start the game, the variable, which is score, is still going to be 0, okay? But what I'm going to do is change my variable, this one here, to score, and I'm going to put that with the fish, okay? Now, have you noticed that that's one fish? So I'm just going to pop across to this fish, pull the same one in. Actually, I'll do that one. Score, I'm going to pop that in. You might even be certain fish might give you extra points. I don't know. I'm going to go to this fish and I'm going to say change my score to, this is going to be 40 points. Okay, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to play my game again. There we are. So it took me a bit of time. I've got a few things to do. Now, I've spotted that these fish do move around, but this shark seems quite big. So I'm just going to go and do back and do one last thing. And I can see my score increasing. But I'm going to say that this shark is a little bit big, so it gives me more of a chance to move around the screen and try and get those fish. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to my looks. And I'm going to set my size to 50%. There we are. Right, I'm going to just check now. Oh, there he is. Let's pop him down here to start the game. Let's see if I can go and get these fish. Oh, missed me. There we are. Got them. Now I'm going to show you something I've spotted with this game. So I'm just going to pull my fish over here, my shark should I say, and I'm going to press go. Now I'm going to go and touch one of the fish. That one fish has made all the fish disappear. So there's a problem with my program, my sequence, okay? Most of it makes sense, but there's one part that just doesn't. I want each fish to be its own fish. I want the shark to be able to attack each fish and eat them separately, okay? So this is where I'm going to look at the code. Okay, this is for fish 1. If I touch fish 1, then he's going to get a message to hide. I'm just going to pull that bit out here. Okay, I'm going to build this up again. So you can do it like this. And I'm going to do it for fish 2. If I touch, oops, wrong one. There we are. If I'm touching fish 2, I'm going to send a different message. Broadcast hide, but I'm going to change this hide and I'm going to call it hide 2. Okay, I'm going to do the same for fish number 3. Go back, I'm just going to go and grab my if. I'm going to go and say if he's touching fish 3, I'm going to broadcast a message. You might have spotted because I've been playing about with this. I'm going to say hide 3. Okay, and I'm going to just put all of those together and I'm going to place those inside my forever loop. Now, when I press this code, it's going to run. forever. If you touch fish 1, send fish 1 a message, hide. If you touch fish 2, send message 2, hide. If fish 3 is touched, send hide to fish 3. So I'm just going to go to the fish. That's fish 1. Let's just check he's got the right hide. Yep. Fish 2, he needs hide 2. Fish 3 needs hide 3. So they're all receiving their own separate message. So I'm going to press stop, press my button. Ah, did you say it? I'm going to do it again. Right. Looks like I'm running away, doesn't it? There we are. We've got them all. So I've got my score of 70. So things in this that you can go away and have a look at are how big are the fish and how big is the shark? You might want to change that. You might go to each fish and depending on their value, you might decide that a certain fish might be a really important fish to collect. So for example, I'm going to say fish 2. Fish 2 is going to be my golden fish. Okay, the one that could give me the highest score, like 100 points. So I'm going to go to my costume. I'm going to go to the fish. I'm going to go and get my little fill button and I'm going to turn my fish golden. Don't like that colour. I'll go to a brighter colour because I like bright, vivid colours. There we go. There, there, there. You get the idea. If you make a mistake, just click undo. I like that. So I'm going to go back to my code. Now, when I hit this magic golden fish, it's going to give me a score of 200. Okay, so I'm going to press stop. I'm going to replay. There's the fish I want. I know. 1. Oh, missed him. 2. And my score will jump up 250 points. You might even want to be a little bit cruel in your game. If you want to, it's totally up to you. You might have the evil fish. So this is going to be fish 3. I'm going to go to my costumes. This fish, I'm not saying this colour is evil, but I'm going to just change the colour to red. He's a fiery fish. There. And I'll just change those bits so you can see them a little bit more. Again, if you make a mistake, just press undo and it'll undo that little part that you've painted in. So I'm going to go back to my code. This is fish 3. If I hit fish 3, which is the red fish, I'm going to do a takeaway score of 20. So I want to keep away from that fish. I'm going to press stop, restart my game. There he is. There he is. Oh, I've got to keep away from him. If I hit him, I'm going to hit him on purpose because I've got a score of 210. My score's gone down. Okay, so that's what we call a variable, controlling a score and controlling how many points you get by touching the fish. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that game and I look forward to finding out what you've been up to.